The reason there is so much violence and chaos in the black precincts is the disintegration of the African American family.
He's got a point. In fact, he's got more than a point. Bill?
Raised without much structure, young black men often reject education and gravitate towards the street culture, drugs, hustling, gangs. Nobody forces them to do that. Again, it is a personal decision.
He is right about that too. But in my estimation, he doesn't go far enough. Because black people, if you really want to fix the problem, here's just 5 things that you should think about doing. Here's number 5, pull up your pants. Number 4 now is the N-word. Now number 3, respect where you live. Start small by not dropping trash, littering in your own communities. I've lived in several predominantly white neighborhoods in my life. I rarely, if ever, witness people littering.
All right, slow down there, David Duke. Come on, Richard Spencer, cool it with the racism.
Ready, set, go.
Florida is a unique place and a special place. It's where we work, where we live, but it's also where the world comes to play, to bring their children. And their children have a right to be safe. And that's guaranteed under the leadership of our governor, our speaker, our president, and the way we do business in Florida. You can compare and contrast. Look at Seattle, Portland, Minneapolis.
Those of us of a certain age, if you're white, it's easy to believe. What's the problem? Things work well. There's good jobs here. You can buy a house. Why can't everybody do this? It's time to have that conversation with your relatives. It's time to have this conversation in every corner of the state.
Slow down there, David Duke. Come on, Richard Spencer, cool it with the racism.
Police officers will not go on like this. White communities in our state cannot go on like this. The only way forward is through systemic change. And I'm not naive, I've done this long enough.
You look at some of these places that have done this, they've already seen crime go up, even just diverting some of the funding to this. And so it's an insane theory. It's not going to be allowed to ever carry the day in the state of Florida.
But if you do a little digging and you disaggregate and break that data apart, a chilling truth becomes very apparent. Those statistics are true on well-being if you're white. They're not only not true if you're black, it's exactly the opposite.
Slow down there, David Duke. Come on, Richard Spencer, cool it with the racism.
We saw last summer some of the local governments are actually telling, not necessarily in Florida, but throughout the country, basically telling these folks to stand down, telling police to stand down while cities burnt, while businesses were burnt, while people were being harmed. That's a dereliction of duty. And so what our bill says that I'll sign into law today is that if you're derelict in your duty as a local government, if you tell law enforcement to stand down, then you're responsible for the damage that ensues. And if someone's been harmed or their property has been destroyed, then they can sue you for compensation.
Police officers will not go on like this. White communities in our state cannot go on like this. The only way forward is through systemic change.
We also have penalties for people that commandeer highways, which we saw in other parts of the country. Just think about it. You're driving home from work, and all of a sudden you have people out there shutting down a highway, and we worked hard to make sure that didn't happen in Florida. They start to do that. There needs to be swift penalties, and that's something that just cannot happen.
Let's stand for who? Who?
If you're white, it's easy to believe. What's the problem? Things work well. There's good jobs here. You can buy a house. Why can't everybody do this? It's time to have that conversation with your relatives. It's time to have this conversation in every corner of the state.
Slow down there, David Duke. Come on, Richard Spencer. Cool it with the racism.
To rebuild, restore, and reimagine the relationship with law enforcement and the communities they serve, we must tackle racial inequities in every corner of our society, from health to home ownership to education, and we have to do it finding that common humanity.
There's a concussion grenade. Some glass bottles just got tossed. Tear gas, it looks like. My apologies. More rubber bullets. I just heard one whip by.
That's no way to treat those that put their entire life into building their business. We saw folks' businesses burn around this nation who literally had worked their entire life and had every penny of their life savings involved. And what our governor said is, that's not happening here.
Done. We promise and we deliver.
Hey, look at that, Twin Cities. It's the IDS building, the big glass one. Tallest skyscraper in the Midwest after the Sears in Chicago or John Hancock building, whatever. You never been to Minneapolis?
Nope.